Play Night Local. Come in.
And we're on. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. We have a lovely little fellow with us today. We have Trent Hankinson. How are you doing? Hankinson? There we go. Hankinson. How
There
are
you
you?
go. Yeah, doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. You've been very busy. We've seen from the socials recently. I found you originally through your Instagram advert where you said, "Please, can you help me?" It was something along the lines of getting food or something like that.
Yeah. Haven't eaten in days.
Yeah, something like that. I like that. That was very. I was like, oh, I hope he's eating okay. So I checked on the page. Didn't know if
Definitely.
I could help with something, but you've been very busy. Lots of very like visually focused content, and yeah, it seems to be going really well. I mean, the song of yours that I was checking out that I really liked was "I'm Glad I Got High." I really like that one. So can you
Thank you.
tell me a bit more about the process lyrically behind that? You know where your head was at.
Oh boy. Well, the day before, actually earlier that week, my grandmother had passed away,
Okay.
and she, in particular, she liked to party, not heavily, but I guess the song is more. It's not even about drugs necessarily. It's more just like, hey, I'm glad I lived it up while I could. Yeah.
Hmm.
It could be about drugs if you wanted it to
High
be.
moment. More thing. Could be high in life. Could be
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. Yeah, I'm glad I lived it up.
Is a lot of your music sort of lyrically inspired by things in your own life then?
I guess with the solo project, yes. Aqua Seca, not necessarily, but
Mm.
definitely for what I do solo.
So
Yeah.
you were originally in the band, and did you think you wanted to make sort of more of these sort of more personal songs? Was that sort of the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, what happened with the band is I recorded all of those songs myself in 2019, and then I wanted to get a group together to play it live. And
Mm.
what ended up happening was unfortunate. They wanted to be a part of the process creatively, and I would have loved for them
Mm.
to be, but um, they just didn't have the motivation to do it. So I just
Yeah.
did the solo thing. It's so much easier. So much
Yeah.
easier. Yeah.
Mm. Especially in the most recent year as well. Like it's really, as a solo artist, it's been a lot easier to go about creating music compared to, something like a band. Mm.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you've got some, as we were saying earlier, you've got some interesting sort of video shoots you've been getting up to. I mean, what's on the horizon? Is there an album? Is there more singles? What's going on? Mm.
I've I've been pretty disenfranchised by releasing albums just because it's so much work you're releasing at once.
Mm.
So I doubt I release an album for a long time. It'd have to all be the same theme. Yeah, like the songs would have to like blend into each other, like Dark Side of the Moon
Mm.
sort of thing. Whereas like each
Mm.
one kind
Yeah.
of passes on to the next one. Um, whereas with the
Mm.
singles right now, they all kind of sound a little similar, but definitely not in the same plane as what I would want for an album.
Mm.
So yeah, just singles, and it's really nice because I can release about once a month, and considering work, to pay for all of this, that's about as quickly
Mm.
as I could
Mm.
do anything of quality. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your last project, Neural Stereo, do you think that was a very consistent album? Would you say that was thematically linked throughout and for every song, or was that kind of not what you would perceive as like your perfect idea of what your album would be
I would say so. Definitely now, not the perfect idea of an album for me. I liked it at the time. I still like it. I listen to it occasionally. Only thing is, I mixed it myself, and I'm not happy with the mix. So I'm probably going to have it
like?
remixed, not in the traditional sense of the term, but like actually take
Mm.
all of the individual recordings, take them to my mixer who I use now, and then have it mastered again.
Mm.
And then maybe re-release it. I'll
Mm.
probably just do that for "Don't Care" at first, which was the biggest song, commercially speaking, from that. But,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'll probably just do that. Yeah.
And that's sort of what everyone who sort of self-produces their own music says. Like, it's a lot of sort of doubting the mixes and sort of like, is this the perfect way this song could be, released? It's a bit of a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah. What's funny now about the solo stuff, I rarely write lyrics.
Mm.
I rarely sit down and write it. Whereas with Aqua Seca, those were all written out in the first place. I
Mm.
basically just get on the mic, which is to my left, and whatever feels right comes out of my mouth. Yeah.
No, that's
I
a sort of
yeah,
interesting process of showing what feels natural to the song.
yeah, it can be odd at times. Sometimes I'll try and do it. Normally requires a lot of like heavy breathing before I do it, just to get
Yeah,
myself calm. And then if I focus
yeah.
enough, which is most of the time, then the right words just come out
So,
rather than trying to write it all down. I don't know why, but it
Yeah.
works. Yeah.
you think it's good to sort of write from different, perspectives, sort of challenge yourself, different ways of writing?
Give or take. Some of the other songs that haven't been released yet, some of them are instrumental, where I tried to put lyrics to it, and I was just like, nah, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
definitely.
that can sort of happen. Like, especially as like a solo artist. I mean, I can relate personally as well. You're sort of looking at what you've written, and you're the only person like sort of making the decision to release it. So it's sort of like, do I release it? Is this okay?
Mm. Mm.
Definitely. Yeah. How long have you been releasing?
So I've been doing sort of solo, a similar thing to you. So I was in a band for like a few years, and then doing solo stuff for another few years. And both are really good in different ways,
Definitely.
I think. I mean, with a band, it was much more of a collaborative sort of process. But I sort of find it quite nice now, just sort of releasing what I like, really.
You don't get the
What
personality
you
of
like.
the
Exactly.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much that. It's just sort of more like you sort of see this process from the beginning to the end, and you're not necessarily like it's nice to just have one thing that's like, this is my thing, I guess.
Right. Oh, definitely.
I mean, do you
So,
see yourself in a band or
in
something
many
like that in
ways
the
better.
future, or is the solo thing,
It
that
seems
sort
to
of
work for you, the
yeah,
What's
solo
it's
up?
thing.
work.
So yeah.
Yeah, Aqua Seca was great. It was my baby for a while, and then it's we'll see if I end up doing something on that front. It's very unlikely. The drummer in Aqua Seca, his name's Derek. His drums have been here at my studio for 7 months.
Oh, really?
He hasn't played any drums for 7 months. For 7 months is like it's funny being in LA. You would think like more people would be serious. It's not the case.
You got a free
And
drum
I've
kit.
been
That's all right.
trying just what's up?
You got a free drum kit
What'd
out
you
of it,
say?
though. That's all right. Free drum kit.
Oh, I don't use it. I like my drum kit. I
Well,
don't
see,
even
have you
use
got
any of
like
his
an
stuff.
acoustic sort of
Like
thing, or you got an acoustic drum kit as well?
acoustic, yeah, it's led to me having to spend a lot more money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've tried playing electric drums. They're just not the same feel.
No.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Do
I
you
mean, a
guys
lot of
use an
people
electric kit?
in a sort of a production software sort of thing rather than electric kit. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The acoustic drum, there's such a distinct feeling to that.
Yeah. I mean, we used the electric pad,
Yeah.
didn't we, for a little bit in live gigs, and that was
It
okay.
was all right. It
Yeah.
doesn't quite work live, I think. If you're like an act starting up and stuff, electronic drums, most sound engineers are like, what the fuck are you doing? They're just a bit confused.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my buddy growing up, his dad had electric drums. They were fun. It's just it isn't the same feedback as just
Mm.
like hitting the acoustic. And you get the acoustic so many different ways. I don't know. They were V drums. They're like the nicest electric drums you could buy. But it was just like, I like my kit better.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see yourself performing live? You know, I mean, I'm not sure quite how the rules are going with LA specifically. I mean, we've talked to a couple bands from around there,
Yeah,
but that was more last year. I mean, how are things looking for gigging at the moment?
Mm.
Tell you the truth, I've forgotten my mask now. In 3 days, the whole mask thing is supposed to be over in the whole state. So like
Oh,
I lost all of them. Like literally, I lost them, and so I'll just walk in, and then people will be like, ah, nobody cares. So on the mask front,
oh,
that's going away, which is good for gigs. Um, there was some of my buddies last night went to an album release party. I don't know if you ever heard of
oh,
Lovely, the band.
I haven't,
Um,
no.
no.
Not that that was the album release party. That was not the album release party. They're
Yeah.
friends with that band that did the album release
Oh,
show.
okay.
Um, yeah, you would have heard about it otherwise. So they did that. It was at a coffee shop. It was outdoors. Yeah, I've been trying
Mm.
just to jam. I don't necessarily want to perform my own music live at this moment. I just want to jam with people. I love playing drums live. One of my favorite things. So,
Yeah.
what about you guys? Has
Mm.
it opened up quite a bit?
It's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting there. I
taking a
mean,
while.
there's some like outdoor gigs. You know, you can't have anything sort of indoors at the moment.
Busking's
yeah,
kind of been the way, I
I mean,
guess.
we're in Canterbury, so there's a lot of buskers around and that sort of thing. But I guess from my perspective, is sort of you don't know whether it's going to shut down again. So
Mm.
I don't know whether it's like worth like putting in that effort to really commit to something that might, you know, just close down, and I have a different opinion afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Really? Yeah. No, that's the other, like people keep asking me too.
Yeah,
They're like, "Yeah, when are you gonna play shows again?" I'm just like, it's a lot of work.
yeah,
I kind of
it's
just like making music and releasing it. What's up?
Do you think in a way? Do you think in a way COVID may have kind of drained a bit of that, enthusiasm to perform?
Probably.
Mm.
yeah,
It's just so dark for so long.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, not just dark, like it was dark outside last winter. It was just like a dark period. It sucked.
Yeah.
It was just like, what are we doing? Like I spent Christmas by myself. Like it was just
Mm.
like
yes.
alone because everybody around me was sick. It was just horrible. I don't know how it was for you guys. Like,
Oh, we
do you
couldn't go
guys
see your
have to like,
family thing over Christmas.
No,
You couldn't see your family
you
or
didn't see
anything like that. So
anybody?
that was
no,
no.
no one.
Yeah, yeah. Sad time, but hey, things seem to be looking up. I hope so.
Well, fingers
Yeah. Have you
crossed.
guys
I've
been
only,
able to create?
yeah,
Yeah, another year would be difficult.
yeah, not too
But we'll
much.
see.
Yeah.
We'll see
Has it
what
been
happens.
hard for you guys to create as well?
I think with the podcast, because we kind of started the podcast towards the right at the beginning of lockdown, it was kind of easier to have that motivation.
Yeah,
But
to
in a
force
way,
it to be online.
yeah,
Right.
gigging must have been more difficult for you
Yeah.
and things like that. So
You know, I had my last gig in like February last year, and that was amazing. But after that, it's sort of like, you know, everything shut down a bit, and you know, I don't. It's just difficult. You want to come back with something good, but you just don't know quite what to, you know, come back with. You know, you want to sort of make an impression, but when things are here to stay, sort of thing. But for the podcast,
Yeah.
yes,
We
chat to you anyway.
yeah, the
yeah
advantages of
what was that?
the advantages of the webcam, just being able to actually talk to people has been fantastic. I think in a way.
Right, right. Yeah, I tried to do live stream shows and it was just I hated it.
Yeah.
It was so boring. I was like, I can't see anybody. It's like I'm playing to nobody. And then like just
Yeah.
with audio issues, it was so hard. And I was like, yeah. And how much money do we make? Not that like money's the overriding issue. It was just like, oh, $50 from tips.
Yeah.
Like not worth it at all. Like just for
Instagram
setting
might.
up and like getting everybody there.
Mm,
What's up?
mm.
I was saying Instagram makes a bit of money from it, but us
Not
maybe
the
not
artist.
so much.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, exactly. The user base itself. Yeah, have you
Mm.
guys screwed around with TikTok at all?
I've had a few moments on there. I've tried it out, but it's a bit confusing to me as an elderly man of 40 years old.
Looking good for 40.
Yeah, I'm looking okay for 40. No hair gone yet, but but it's okay. Do you use it then? Is it good for music?
I try. It seems to be a hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like I'll try and do it, particularly if Instagram and Facebook stop letting me run ads. So like,
Yeah.
there was maybe a month ago, they just suspended my account for no reason. I spent an entire week like emailing them 5 times a day, and then at the end of it, they're just like, "Oh, it's suspended by accident. Here's your account back." Like, okay, yeah, really,
I
really
mean, if you've
serious
been working,
stuff.
it can be frustrating.
What was
Just
that?
so frustrating, isn't it?
I was saying that it's really frustrating because you work on Instagram, building it up for a year, and then it could just be taken away like that.
Yeah, instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for sure. Yeah, and terrifying at the same time. So I'm not particularly like I do think they're a monopoly on the social media market, especially when Facebook bought Instagram. Um,
Oh yeah.
so they hold a lot of power. There's I think I want to say 48 district attorneys in all of the continental United States have filed antitrust claims towards Facebook and
Oh really?
Instagram. So it'll probably be like 5 years before they get split up. But I am very much for that because it's going to mean cheaper ad prices and better competition.
Always good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird in a way, isn't it? Because it's almost like nowadays, you're as a band, you're expected, or as an artist even, you're expected to contribute and be part of social media. And I think as well for anxiety, especially, it can be awful.
Yeah.
Especially if you do struggle on a day-to-day basis with dealing with people.
Personal
social media
issues
can be
as
the
well.
worst,
Social
yeah.
media is bad for that.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't have social media for I want to say 5 years. And then the only reason I started using it again was specifically because of music. I consider it a necessary evil. And
Mm.
it's hard not to check it all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you just look
So
at follower or stream account, and it's sort of not, it's not the way to look at it in terms of music, but the apps force you to almost.
yeah, I don't have any of my notifications on any of the social media at
That's
all.
good.
It's the best way to go, I think.
Oh, yeah, the addiction would be much worse if those were on. For sure.
I mean, what's in the future for you then? Like, what's coming? What's in the plans? I mean, obviously we've covered live music, but what about your releases? We've seen some videos. What can we expect?
It's hard, especially now that people are doing things again. Because it used to be I'd work during the week, and then my weekends were just to myself. Could be in here, like chilling out in the studio, which is a great time.
Yeah.
I put a lot of work into it. But now, like people want, like I went to a wedding 2 weeks ago. I
Alpha.
went to a service last weekend. Like it's just a lot of events. So work schedule's been screwed up. But yeah, I'm hoping to release. What is it? June. So that gives us what 6 more months until the end of the year. Yeah, there'll probably be like
Yeah.
6 or 8 songs between now and then of varying length. Some of them might be just what I like to consider like interlude songs, where there isn't as much going on,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just going to transport you to the next song. Um, but yeah, probably once or twice a month until the end of the year. What about you guys? You're releasing a lot or no?
Well, with the podcast, we're sort of doing one a month.
Yeah. With some
Keeping-
YouTube stuff in between just to kind of keep people tided over. But
And then music, just writing a lot at the moment, seeing what sticks, basically.
Throwing ideas at the wall.
Yeah, throwing ideas at the wall, just sort of seeing what goes. I mean, yeah, just with things opening up, it's just sort of figuring out what to do, I guess, on that side. But podcast is just going, basically.
Do you guys write together?
I know. So I sort of did some solo stuff similar to you, and Angus sort
I
of
was the bassist.
he sort of did
backing
bassist.
singer
But
kind of thing.
we wrote some songs together, didn't we?
We did.
We
We
did
We
have
wrote
that
the
band.
opening to
Yeah,
our show.
we
which
wrote the
loved,
opening to this as well. So we have done some
Oh, a
shit
little bit
together.
here and there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Might do an
that's
outro.
cool.
Yeah.
Might
That's
do
the
an outro.
next thing. Yeah.
The next thing, the
outro.
outro. Yeah, when we get round to that.
Right. Yeah. Have you guys ever thought about like wanting to be on a label?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's difficult because, well, it's like we were literally talking to a band just now about, a label wants you to do a specific thing. It's very much business. And, I mean, I look at people that are like quite big in labels, and it does seem like a level of stress that's, maybe not optimum for the money you're making.
Mm.
So it just, like, I think honestly, just doing this is just the fun bit, just sort of making some music.
Right.
Some people like it, and if it goes semi all right, that's the goal.
I think as well with the podcast, we were initially with a radio station and then went independent. I think the good thing about independence is it just lets you talk about what you want to talk about. Before we had constraints and constrictions and like swearing, obviously completely off the cards with a
we
with
had a
normal
few
radio
legal
station.
issues.
But it's much better now, and
Yeah.
it's just a lot more fun. So it's just better.
Yeah, better being independent from our view, I guess. What about you?
I've had like silly offers from record labels that I wouldn't consider to be up to par.
Yeah.
I'm very visually oriented, and I can tell by looking at somebody's website whether I want to work with them or not. And
whether they know
yeah,
what you're going for.
What's up?
They know what you're going. Whether they know what you're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like this looks unprofessional, or this doesn't look right. I'm just like, nah. And I've had other really silly offers from people I just like they send me a DM on Instagram or an email. I'm just like, how many of these have you sent today? Like you obviously are doing this to trying to entice people that have larger audiences than you. And there's a degree of collaboration that needs to happen on any front. Like you can't just be like, I'm only going to talk to people who are bigger than I. Like that's silly too, because you're not helping anybody out. But these are like 120 follower count. Like they I'm a record label, and they're not. Like good luck. It's a very competitive game out there, and if you're not getting backed by Universal or Sony or Warner, likely not going to happen. But you can be independent.
Might not work out.
Yeah, there's cool independent labels. What's I can't remember the name of the one out of Seattle. I know Captured Tracks. I would be on Captured Tracks. That'd be a cool label. What was that?
Captured Tracks would be good. That had Mac on for a bit.
Yeah,
so Captured Tracks
Sub Pop.
We were talking. Sub Pop. There we go.
Alco Pop as well from
the UK. They're quite good.
Fantastic label.
But
right, yeah. So
I mean, there are a lot of independent labels, and there's a lot of good music happening. But it's just what works for what artists, basically.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And the last thing I would want to is not to be able to release what it is that's in here, you know, or in my heart. So that would be bad. And I know there are other people I've known that have just been like, oh, is it Roddy Rich?
Oh yeah.
You ever heard of?
I'm aware.
Yeah. So his first music video or whatever, there's another dude in it, That's his cousin. I met his cousin. Like I spent like 4 or 5 hours with the dude, and we just talked about music the whole time. And well, I hope I don't get screwed over by saying any of this, but what his cousin told me, his name's Ben. What Ben told me is that Roddy, I don't even know his real name, but Roddy, that might be Rod, but he got some manager type with a bunch of money. Ben called it hood money. I don't know where it came from. Invested a ton of money into his act, and this was a year before he blew up. And needless to say, Rod does not talk to Ben anymore.
Oh,
The guy who and Ben is a producer and recording engineer at some label in LA. They do not speak anymore. And Ben has tried to reach out, not even to just be like, let's make me bigger, but just to hang with his cousin.
yeah.
Roddy doesn't talk to pretty much anybody who's not affiliated with his now manager. And I don't want to say anything bad in particular. It might be a completely different situation, but from his cousin's perspective, Rod seems to be owned in nearly every aspect of his life by the person who invested all the money in his career. And that sounds terrifying too. Like
Yeah.
I'd want to be able to do what I want, but when the guy who's essentially made all the money for you and because of your act, you got to listen to him. Otherwise, you can just be like, I'll drop you, or you get blacklisted. Like, I'm not gonna listen to you anymore. Yeah.
Fame's a crazy thing.
So
Happens so commonly, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
record labels own all the music. I mean, yeah,
Can
it's
distance
scary.
people. Yeah.
Mm.
That's
They-
what I mean. I'm a bit scared
yeah,
of
and this is
that level of success. What happens to you?
yeah. I've thought about that on the writing front as
Mm.
well. And it's like, oh, you start making a ton of money. Are you going to be able to have the same drive and emotional creativity that you would have otherwise? Because at the moment, I mean, we're all working for it. We're all working for that, and it leads to the music being better. So hopefully, and then I've thought about being viral or having something go viral. I don't know if that's the answer either. Like it'd be nice in the short term, but having to recreate that same level of success, might be a bad call
Over and
because then
over.
you just it's like a basketball player or a baseball player that signs a huge contract. They've made it, they spend all the money, and then they just end up even worse off than before they got the contract. Like Elvis or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Forced into a lifestyle almost as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? There's so many expectations on you to make that form of content every time as well. I guess, yeah. Not good constraint.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's
Yeah.
been great talking. As we come to the end of the sort of interview, a question we like to ask a lot of the artists is, what advice would you give to someone wanting to start, doing a solo project, similar to you? What would you say?
Oh boy.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah. I don't know. It has to be really tied to yourself. Like it sounds dark, but I don't mean it to sound dark. It's music or death for me. Like I have to. There's no other way around it. So if you have to, if it's the only thing you can do, then you should do
Then
it.
do it.
And
Yeah.
then do it. But if it's just like if you're not fully set on it or you don't really know, maybe take some time, think about something else you might want to do. But if you really want to do it, you should do it because it's very gratifying when somebody, direct messages you or writes you a really nice letter like, "Hey, your song got me through this," or your music did this for me. That the days in which I get that from somebody are my best days.
Yeah.
I can
When
imagine.
somebody just reaches out and they're like, "Yo, this was amazing." I'm like, "Thank you." that's my heart in a song. Like,
That's a beautiful way to put
like
it,
I'm
to be
down.
honest.
What better goal than
Thank
that
you.
in music?
Yeah, exactly. That's my only goal.
Again, thank you so much. It's been amazing to talk to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you want to promote anything
definitely,
before we
guys.
kind of end the interview as well? Do you want to shout anything out or shout any bands you're listening to out as well? We always like to hear that.
Oh, nothing that isn't already heavily promoted. No, I mean, I did listen to Mazzy Star a lot yesterday. I don't know if you ever heard of Mazzy Star. Hope
Mm-hmm.
Sandoval.
Fade
She's a
into you.
beautiful voice. But
Mm.
what was that?
Fade into you. Is that Mazzy Star? Yeah.
Yeah, a great song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it on repeat all day yesterday. Yeah, Mazzy Star. And then yeah, I mean, I've been talking this whole time. My name's Trent Hankinson. Like, you can listen to my stuff worldwide. Like that. Like, that's all the promo I need to do. Yeah. What about you
Fantastic.
guys? You want to
Thank you
promote
so
anything?
much. It's been
No, I mean,
Definitely.
if they found our podcast, that
doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
We're doing all right. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, Trent, thank you
thanks,
so much
guys.
for this. And, yeah, if you want to have a
Yeah.
song on the show as well, just to
Play one.
have it. Yeah, we'd love to have it if you want
Have what?
a song. If you want to send a song to put in the podcast,
We'd love
we'd
to
love
play
it.
Oh, sure. No
Fantastic.
problem.
That's great.
Awesome, hey.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
bye for now.
I'll see you
And,
later.
yeah,
Thank
see you
you
later.
so much. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one, mate.